Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a 23-year-old competitive boulderer from Canada, currently living in Montreal. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I record most of my training, provide in-depth analysis of every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So today we have a bit of a fun session for our first session in this episode, and that is because we are visiting a gym that I've only been to, I think, twice in the past. So obviously at first look, that doesn't seem to make sense because, of course, we frequently visit Allez Up, but that is the Mile End location of Allez Up. I think the Mile End location is the newest, or maybe this one is the newest. But anyway, this is a different location of Allez Up, and this one is in a place called Verdun. So this Allez Up is a very similar product to the Mile End location of Allez Up, and the reason that Maddie and I haven't visited here a lot in the past is simply just because there are so many gyms to go around, and we'll just get caught up in our regular habits of going to kind of like the 6 main gyms or so that we visit, and it's just not often that we actually need to kind of go outside of that 6 gym bubble. But today we were just feeling like doing something new, and so we went to Allez Up Verdun. And yeah, like I said, this is probably like my 3rd time climbing here. The most recent time was like maybe just over a year ago. I actually did an episode of COMPCLIMB at this gym, like back when I was first starting to make the videos. So this is like the 2nd COMPCLIMB episode at Allez Up Verdun. But yeah, this is my 3rd time here, but Maddie actually had a few sessions here recently and told me that the boulders here were really good and I should go have a session here soon. And so that is what I am doing. So the grading system and the boulders here are basically like the same as Allez Up Mile End. So here we're hopping on a white tape, which are always the hardest boulders at the Allez Up gyms. And this one I was feeling pretty strong on. This one was a very nice reassurance that the bit of finger tweakage I've been feeling on my left hand maybe isn't so bad. And I was able to full crimp a couple holds on that last white boulder with minimal pain. It definitely was still hurting a little bit, but much less than our session at La Crux, where we weren't even able to really try a boulder because it had a very aggressive left-hand crimp. So yeah, it's relieving that it's probably nothing too serious. I just need to be conscious every time I'm full crimping a hold to not just rip off it as hard as I can and just apply a gentle kind of amount of pressure. But yeah, they definitely had a lot of nice looking boulders up in this gym. I'm glad that we came here, and this one that we're trying here is definitely the most challenging one from this session here at Verdun. And this one revolves around a very difficult first move, and the ending is actually also quite tricky. This hold that I have to meat hook here at the end is quite bad, and it's a very tricky heel hook that you have to get up for this last move. But anyway, this first move was taking me a lot of tries to do, and I was really struggling with it. And it's because of how hard the launch position is. The hold that we're jumping to is actually pretty decent, and a lot of these times I felt like I could stick the hold. But I always struggle with these small toe hook boxes, especially when I see them in competitions, because often setters will have to set these toe hook moves to cater to all of the sizes of climbers in a field, especially in a competition. And so since I'm kind of on the taller side, not too tall, I find that in order for a short climber to be able to stick this toe hook, it needs to be close enough to the point where I'm gonna struggle with it a bit. And that's why toe catches and toe hook positions like that are always quite a weakness of mine. And I've been debating recently actually if I should start like researching or find an exercise that's good for like training quad strength. Because I find since my leg is bent in this toe hook position, I have to squeeze my quad really, really hard in order to get tension off a toe hook. And if anybody knows of some good sort of like quad exercises to train the strength that you need for like a small box of a toe hook, drop them in the comments, because sometimes I'm just kind of lazy and I won't go out of my way to try and find new exercises on my own, and I sort of need them to be recommended to me. So yeah, if you have any good toe hook strength training exercises, please let me know. But yeah, as you can see, we are going around and getting a lot of sending in today. I was feeling quite good in this morning session, and that's usually not how it goes. I'll usually be feeling a bit slow in the morning, but I was feeling like really fresh. I had a lot of energy, and I was even feeling pretty strong. Like I could try like powerful boulders. And this is just simply because we had a rest week, and we also shook off the rest week rust. So I'm not going to be feeling the freshness on like day 1 and 2 off of a rest week. I'm going to be feeling it now. And so yeah, my body has recovered really nicely from the last couple months of training that we did. And now I'm like feeling really fresh, and I just feel like I can move really well on the wall. And it's a really nice, fun feeling. And yeah, especially because the training won't be too intense going forward, I just get to kind of ride this wave of like climbing chill, having fun, feeling fresh for a few weeks, and it's going to be fun. And yeah, it was like really showing in this session. I was feeling strong, and even in the next session that we're going to do later on at Bloc, I also feel like really strong. And yeah, it's going to be nice to kind of carry this good form and good shape into the next couple fun competitions that we're going to do. Because like I was saying in the last episode, the next couple comps we're going to do are going to be worth, like there's a lot of money on the line. These are some nice cash comps that we have on the horizon. I think for the Jackalope in Mississauga up next, it's like 2,500 Canadian for first. And then the Boston comp a week later is like 2,800 Canadian. So definitely want to try and achieve some nice results at these events and make some money. So yeah, another obviously key element of our day of training here at Allez Up is the fact that this is still just my second session of climbing in these flagship pros. And I was talking about in the last episode, I think the idea with the new Unparallel shoes that I've been trying in the recent months, I'm just kind of touch a little bit on the shoes during our COMPCLIMB episodes and kind of just give context where it's needed. But for the most part, I'm going to save my sort of fully formed thoughts and opinions for a dedicated shoe review series. That's kind of where I'm at and what I'm thinking. I think coming soon-ish, I'll probably make some standalone videos, like really reviewing these Unparalleled shoes that we've been testing recently and giving my take on them. But the long story short is I was continuing my enjoyment of these flagship pros. The gist of these shoes, like I was saying in the last episode, is that they're very, very soft, and they're good for a lot of things because of this. One of the things they're really good for are smearing, as is evident by this boulder we are hopping on now. And you can also see I'm repeating this boulder. I did it on my last try, but Maddie said she had much different beta than me and told me to give her beta a try. And I think both our betas were similar difficulty. But yeah, these volumes, I was like really able to feel solid on, and the shoes were just able to mold themselves fully to the volume and get some nice surface area. And the rubber also feels quite sticky on these shoes. And this is even just day 2. Like, shoes are not supposed to be feeling good on volumes on day 2, no matter how soft they are. So I could feel like a little bit of insecurity just because the shoes were new, but for the most part, I could tell that they are like really, really good. And like these shoes also have like a split sole as well, different from the Tomoas, which makes them like more bendable and able to mold themselves to the surface area of a volume better. And I think that's also just playing a nice role in the shoe's smearing ability. And yeah, like I was also saying, I've been really liking these things for toe hooks, and like just because they're so soft, they can really bend well while I'm toe hooking. And then actually, I think it's the next boulder coming up. Yes, it is. So this boulder, I wanted to make sure I got on today to really keep playing around with the edging ability on these shoes. So here, let's take a look at this try. You can see I'm not really able to trust my right foot on this attempt. And so I remember kind of what I was experiencing at our last session in Le Crux and try to apply it on this hold. Notice how I turn my foot to be more perpendicular to the wall. So rather than having it parallel like this, I turn it to be more perpendicular. And I was mentioning in the Le Crux video that I find that this is like the stronger feeling part of the edge on this shoe. With the Tomoas, I actually like to stand with my foot parallel to the wall, and I find that the inner edge is quite strong on the Tomoas. But actually with these flagships, the better part of the edge and the more strength I feel is when my foot is perpendicular to the wall. And you can see I'm actually explaining this to Maddie here because she is also testing out some flagships. And I was telling her just about what I was saying, how I like my foot perpendicular to the wall, and that's where the stronger part of the edge is, at least in my opinion. And also, like I actually forgot to mention this in the last episode when I just first started talking about the shoes. I definitely wouldn't put them down as the all-time best shoe for just purely like small edge footholds on a slab, especially when you can't really use your hands. It's just simply because they're such a soft shoe. And even though I've been able to find like the strongest part of the edge, like the very front, it's still, in my opinion, not quite as good as the Tomoas for edging on small footholds. But maybe a little bit better for smearing, definitely a whole lot better for toe hooks, and probably on par for the heel hooking. So I feel like if I do end up really loving these flagship pros and want to compete in them, I think the Tomoas will still have a place in my kit. And I might do a flagship pro and Tomoa hybrid, where if we have just like a super small foothold dedicated slab, I whip out the Tomoas. But these are just early thoughts because this is only day 2 with the flagships and I need to test them more. So anyway, here we are at Rose Block later in the day for our second session. And we are here because I was able to finish off most of the boulders in Verdun. So we needed to go to another, like a fresh gym. So Rose Block was convenient, and that is why we're here. And I feel like I was at Rose Block recently, but when we got into the gym, it was just filled with new boulders. So I had to make sure I pace myself, since it's just an hour-long session of bouldering. And anything I'm not able to finish off in this session, we'll just come back to Rose Block and try again soon. So anyway, here we're hopping on a V12, which are kind of few and far between at Rose Block, so you know they're going to be hard. And check this out, I'm able to find some pretty sick beta on this boulder, I think, actually, and sort of do this massive drive-by to a pretty positive crimp and skip like this really bad-looking sloper. And I was feeling really strong in this session, like I was talking about earlier. I just feel like the super fresh effect from rest week. And yeah, I was like, after I did that 12 and felt really strong on such a physical boulder, I said, you know what? I think we're just gonna stick to power boulders for this session and make use of this really strong feeling that I have. And these couple sessions we're having today actually are just bouldering sessions. So in our last episode, our boulder sessions were slab and coordination in the morning, and then boulder max force in the afternoon. But for those who didn't watch the program breakdown, this is the last half of the week, which means our boulder sessions are unfocused. And I can just, it's kind of like a free-for-all, and I can just boulder on whatever I'm feeling. And this is just to optimize for fun and give myself a little bit more freedom and flexibility in training, which is a very important aspect in my opinion. But this session kind of ends up being a Boulder Max Force session anyway, just because I was feeling so strong, and that's what it turned into. And check out this attempt. I'm fighting really hard to stay on the wall here. I climbed like really efficiently through the beginning, but this boulder was just so hard that it was still absolute limit, even though that I thought I executed the moves perfectly. And yeah, that one was like really satisfying to get a send of. Definitely like a super hard boulder that I feel like I sent a lot faster than I normally would in just like some regular training sessions because of how strong I am feeling. And I've also still kind of got like the comp juices flowing in my system, coming off of the competitive season. So what that means is I'm just really good at sending boulders fast right now. And my mind is trained to really figure things out as fast as possible. And so I'm still feeling a bit of these effects in training, which is handy. And hopefully we can have them carry through to the fun cash comps coming up. But since this is kind of like the fun part of training and the hyper competitive part of our season is over, I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to make a big effort to try and keep these skills and like sort of head game status and like mental tactics fresh in my mind and in my body. And if I wanted to do that, basically we would do like some mock comps and some comp simulations and some like very deliberate training in our bouldering. But because this is kind of like the off season now, I just don't care as much. And I'm just trying to have fun in my boulder sessions. So like it would be nice if this sort of freshness and good feeling and good headspace carried through to the cash comps. But if it doesn't, and I just lose my form for some random reason, I'm completely fine with that. Because like I said, we're just trying to have some fun right now. And honestly, I feel like, you know, when you're just trying to have fun, usually you actually perform really well as well. So yeah, I'm excited that I'll probably still be in some good shape for the cash comps. But yeah, anyway, you see we got another nice fun send of that last V10, and here we are trying another one. So even though I was feeling really strong in this session and I wanted to put it to the test on the power boulders, I was definitely getting quite tired at this point. And so we end up having a pretty hard battle against this V10 to try and conquer the physical boulders up in Bloc right now. So you can see I was able to do the jump move off these two yellow circles, but now I'm like really struggling with the end sequence of this boulder. And I thought that the end didn't look too bad, but this little yellow hold turned out to be way worse than it looked. It's super greasy and slopey and just feels like I can really do nothing with it. And what the move looked like initially was to grab this little hold as an intermediate and probably do like a double clutch sequence into both underclings. But I'm like trying a lot of different betas. I'm trying the double clutch. I try to just jump for the finish. I'm trying a lot of things with my feet, but I'm not really able to figure anything out. And I was starting to lose hope on this boulder and was wondering if it was just like really, really hard. But then let's check this out. I am able to sort of intuit some new beta kind of on the fly. I was thinking that, okay, maybe this little slopey crimp is just really bad because I don't have some good opposition. So I find that right toe hook on the circle hold and I place it before going to the slopey crimp, which meant that once I hit the slopey crimp, there was a lot more tension and opposition. And I was able to compress my toe hook with the crimp and get a lot more purchase off it and turn it from an impossible feeling little hold to something that I could actually work with. And so at this point in the session, we are at an hour, which is the capacity for the session. And that meant that this would be my last try on the boulder, no matter what, even if I didn't send. But with my newfound beta, I was indeed able to do it and get a nice clean record of our rose block session with all tops. But that being said, now that I did so many physical boulders in the session, I feel like I'm going to be really tired for tomorrow, which I haven't gone and done yet at the time I'm recording this. So let's go jump into tomorrow and see if I am indeed very sore from all of these physical boulders. So before we delve into the meat of our campus session, I want to talk about a pretty fundamental technique that I use for campusing that we're going to use for today's tip of the day. And that's just going to simply be kipping. So in my opinion, I think that campusing is actually less about pulling through moves and being really strong as you might think initially. And I think it's actually more about thinking of movements as kind of like a jump and a catch. And I actually did a vlog with Loy recently where I talked about this a little bit, but we're gonna kind of relate it to campusing a lot more in this tip of the day. And I think that when we try to just hold a static position on some holds and simply try and pull our way up to the next hold, especially when we're doing complicated campus moves, that's a less effective way to go about it, because basically pulling from a completely static position into the next position, your body is going to come from a still spot and now it's going to have a backswing, right? When you hit the next hold, if it's like a big move or a funky move. So by really learning how to kip properly and throw our momentum in a way, in a direction that's going to help set us up better for the catch of a move, that's how we're going to more effectively campus. And that's something that I really focus on when I'm doing my campus sessions. So basically, for those who don't know, the way that you kip is you kind of you use a lot of parts of your body, but like not only just your arms, but you also can kind of use your legs and you kind of bend them behind you, as you can see from this visual. But the momentum used by bending your legs and sort of kipping your knees up and your feet behind you basically takes a bit of weight off your arms, right? Because we're throwing our momentum with our lower body upwards to kind of help boost our center of gravity up and take less weight off our arms. And so today's tip of the day isn't just going to simply be kipping, but it's also going to be the fact that you should really pay attention to the different kinds of kips that you can actually do for moves. So the reason I wanted to get this tip of the day off at the beginning of our campus session especially is because I want us to really pay attention to really all the sort of kinds of kipping and ways that I throw my hips in order to set up the launch of a move and optimize my momentum to better catch it in the end. And let's say we have a move, for example, where we're going sort of up and to the right. We want to kind of throw our hips down and then kind of up to the right, even before our upper body gets there. So that way our hips are almost there before our upper body is. And now when we hit the hold we're going to, our hips have already kind of stopped and our upper body followed. And now there's less of a swing and less backswing ripping us off of our hands. Whereas if we were to try and just kind of pull for that move, that's what would happen. So by optimizing our launch, we're able to catch the end position really much more effectively. And there's not really actually much pulling that we're doing in between the launch and the catch. And I guess today's tip of the day could also be, we could call it the launch and the catch rather than just kipping. So let's go with that. Whenever you're campusing, especially because a lot of the times with bouldering these days, campus moves are kind of forced, really pay attention to the launch and the catch and not just try and simply pull your way through a move. And also, as you can see, we are at Bloc Shop Hochelaga today for our campus session. And I'll just quickly mention, before we start really analyzing the movements that I'm focusing on with my lower body, I was feeling really good today as well. It's been a while since I've had 3 for 3 sessions in a row, all feeling super strong. So I was actually not so tired from yesterday's day of training somehow. And I was feeling good. And it's been a while since I've had a strong feeling campus session at Hochelaga. So the idea was to try and take down some of our long-term projects today, including this one that we're getting on right now. That was my first time I actually stuck the blue hold from the start, but I was not able to match it. It's actually quite a tricky match. And so I wanted to move on from that one and then come back from it later. And then this boulder that we're moving on to here is also another long-term project. And this one is like a really great example of how, like this kind of campus boulder, I cannot just pull my way through these holds because of how funky the moves are. You see, I like really have to play around a lot with my lower body in order to throw my momentum in a way that I'm taking the most amount of weight off of my hands as possible. Especially when we're going up for this white hold. Watch this really big kip I do. It's very important to kip with my right knee and my hips because I'm hitting that white hold with so much force and I need to reduce the force as much as possible. And then here you can see I'm finally sending this boulder, which you can see from the app on the right side of your screen. We started trying on March 26th. So this one has been a long-term project. I probably tried it for like 5 sessions or something, and I never stuck the purple pinch from the start. So that was a cool send of that boulder. And so yeah, like I said, it was back to retrying this boulder, and I'm trying to figure out a way to match the finish. I almost do it here, and yeah, I didn't give myself the top on that attempt there. That was just, I wasn't really in control. I was falling the whole time. And this boulder was taunting me with these finished match drops, so I had to try it again, even though that was almost a send. And check out this last move. Another really big kip is required in order to like catch this finish hold with the least amount of force possible, because it's not so good of a hold. And I was also able to finally match it and get another send of a project that I've been trying for a while. And so I actually realized that it has also been a while since I've made up a new boulder on this spray wall for campusing, because I just have had like a lot of projects that I've been motivated for. So I decided to have a bit of fun and make a new campus boulder. And it was actually like really refreshing to make a new campus block on this wall, since it'd been so long. And I forgot sort of just how fun this wall is for campusing as well, because I've been sort of training almost in a monotonous way by trying the same boulders all the time. And this new one that I made up is pretty sick, I gotta say. I was definitely proud of this one. This move, this double clutch move, is very difficult. I have to just yank as hard as I can. And it's just like my absolute limit in terms of a vertical campus move. And then this ending sequence is also pretty cool, I think, and probably the cleanest way to make use of this top sequence without matching at all, because that's usually a rule I try to stick to with my campus sessions, is that I won't match a hold unless there's like a specific hold that I intend to be matched for the boulder. Just if it is like kind of how the boulder is meant to be climbed. And so yeah, like I am just really still feeling the effects of the rest week, and the fact that I had 3, like let's call them 8, maybe even 8.5 out of 10 sessions back to back to back is just crazy. Like I feel like maybe a few months ago, I remember just a string of episodes where I would be constantly complaining about feeling bad or like feeling rusty in sessions, and like training days like this just remind me of what's possible. So the next time I'm like ranting about how I'm not feeling so good in a session, we'll just have to remember back to these couple days of training that we did where I felt good in every single session, and just have this as a reminder that it is possible to have good days all the time for short bouts. Like I know that this effect won't last forever, and it could be gone any day. And I'm just feeling it right now because of the nice rest week I took. And yeah, maybe it'll carry through to the comps. That would be nice, but no worries if not. And then as you can see, we're doing our slightly longer workout. This is basically like a one-off workout that I threw into this program where I do all like 3 exercises of deadlift, dips, and pistol squats. And this is just simply to get the body sort of refreshed and sort of reactivate my dips and my pistol squats, since it's been a couple weeks since I've done it at this point. And we have a comp coming up kind of soon. It's the Jackalope event, which is just a fun one, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to encounter some mantle boulder on a slab and then I have to pistol squat out the finish, and I just haven't done either of those exercises in a few weeks. So basically this one-off workout is to avoid that situation and just make sure that my body is ready for anything. And it's also good for injury prevention, because if I do try to execute like strength movements like that I haven't done recently in a comp where I have adrenaline and I'm trying really hard, it will definitely increase my chances of hurting myself, because those strength moves are feeling foreign to me. So making sure that you refresh a lot of strength exercises before comp, I think, is also especially important. And then we are finishing off the day with some hangboard as well. Just 40 pounds for this hangboard session. Coming off of our last episode, we were just doing 20. I'm really trying to get back into hangboarding nice and slowly, and this is because of the finger tweaks / injuries I'm experiencing on my left hand. And 40 pounds is light enough that it won't be aggravating them too much, and I want to at least keep my fingers activated and feeling healthy. So anyway, that's the end of the episode. Some very strong feeling sessions, and I will see you guys back after my rest day. Insert catchy video outro here.